Hello viewers, welcome to the Big Man Business YouTube channel. Here is another highly informative video. In this video, we're going to be talking about Argentina's top import and exports. Keep watching, we got it all covered. According to the most recent data, Argentina is the world's 24th largest export economy. The country has a negative trade balance of minus $1.7 billion, with annual exports of $60.8 billion and imports of $62.5 billion. This video provides an overview of Argentina's economy, including primary imports and exports. If you're new to the Big Man Business YouTube channel, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell to receive updates on new business expert videos. For more international business news and updates, please visit www.bigmanbusiness.com. Argentina's top trading partners. Argentina exported $54.8 billion in goods to the rest of the world in 2020. This figure represents a minus 5% decrease since 2016 and a minus 15.8% decrease from 2019 to 2020. Using a continental perspective, 31.7% of Argentina's exports by value were delivered to other Latin American countries excluding Mexico but including the Caribbean, while 29.6% were sold to Asian importers. Another 14% of goods were shipped to Europe, with 12.4% going to Oceania, led by Australia. Buyers in Africa account for 6.5% and North America account for 6.5%. Altogether consumed a lower percentage of 5.7%. The following list features 15 of Argentina's top trading partners, countries that imported the most Argentine shipments in terms of dollar value in 2020. Each import country's percentage of total Argentine exports is also shown. Brazil with $6.9 billion or 12.5% of Argentina's total exports. $6.2 billion in China which stand at 11.3%. $3.7 billion for Vietnam which stands for 6.8%. $3 billion for Chile which is 5.5%. $2.86 billion for India which is 5.2%. $2.1 billion in the United States standing at 3.8%. $1.7 billion for Indonesia standing at 3.1%. $1.6 billion in the Netherlands which is 3%. $1.33 billion for Egypt standing at 2.4%. Algeria received $1.29 billion which is 2.3%. $1.28 billion for Peru accounts for 2.3%. Spain receives $1.3 billion at 2.3%. With $1.02 billion Malaysia received 1.9%. $970.4 million in Switzerland accounts for 1.8%. $883.9 million for Saudi Arabia accounts for 1.6%. In 2020, the above 15 trade partners will account for roughly two-thirds or 65.9% of Argentina's exports. India increased its import purchases from Argentina by the greatest percentage, up 55.3% from 2019 to 2020 according to the above list of top importers. Egypt came in second with a 46.5% increase, followed by Vietnam up by 35%, Malaysia with 17.8%, and Chile up by 12.7%. Switzerland was down by 38.5% year-on-year, the United States was down by minus 28.1%, and Algeria has the steepest year-on-year declines as it came down by minus 13.1%. Argentina's top 10 imports. The Argentine Republic, which is mostly located in South America's southern cone-shaped region, imported $42.4 billion in goods in 2020. This figure reflects a minus 23.8% drop since 2016 and a minus 13.8% drop from 2019 to 2020. According to the average 2020 exchange rate, the Argentine peso has depreciated by a massive -378% against the US dollar since 2016 and by -46.5% from 2019 to 2020. Because of Argentina's weaker local currency, imports paid for in stronger US dollars are relatively more expensive when converted from the Argentine peso. From a continental standpoint, Asia accounted for 1/3 or 33.3% of Argentina's total imports by value in 2020. Trade partners in Latin America, excluding Mexico, supplied 32.1%, while Europe supplied 18.2% and North America supplied 16.9%. Africa with 1.6% and Oceania, led by Australia, provided lower percentages with 0.4%. With a population of 45.4 million people, Argentina's total $42.4 billion in 2020 imports equates to roughly $950 in annual product demand from each person in the South American country. During 2020, the following product groups have the highest dollar value in Argentina's import purchases. The percentage share of each product category in terms of total imports into Argentina is also shown. $6.4 billion for machinery, including computers, accounted for 15.1% of total imports. $4.8 billion for electrical machinery and equipment accounted for 11.3%. $4.6 billion for automobiles accounted for 10.9%. $2.6 billion for mineral fuels, including oil accounted for 6.1%. $2.5 billion for organic chemicals account for 6%. $2.14 billion in pharmaceuticals accounts for 5.1%. Plastics and plastic products got $2.11 billion, which is 5%. $2.1 billion for oilseeds account for 4.9%. $1.3 billion in other chemical goods account for 3%. Optical, technical, and medical equipment with $1.2 billion accounts for 2.8%. The top 10 product categories account for 70% of Argentina's total import purchases. From 2019 to 2020, three categories increased: oilseeds, which was up by 23.4%, organic chemicals up by 7.2%, and pharmaceuticals up by 2.6%. The most significant decreases were in Argentine imports of mineral fuels, including oil at -38.8%, and electrical machinery and equipment down by -25.9%. Argentina's top 10 exports. In 2020, the Argentine Republic shipped $54.8 billion in goods around the world. This figure represents a -5% decrease since 2016 and a -15.8% decrease from 2019 to 2020. According to the average 2020 exchange rate, the Argentine peso has depreciated by a massive -378% against the US dollar since 2016 and by -46.5% from 2019 to 2020. Argentina's weaker peso makes exports paid for in stronger US dollars less expensive for international buyers. According to the most recent available country-specific data from 2019, importers in Brazil stands at 20.4% of the global total, Australia with 12.2%, China with 9.7%, the United States with 4.4%, Vietnam with 4.2%, Chile with 4.1%, India with 2.8%, the Netherlands with 2.5%, Indonesia with 2.4%, Switzerland also with 2.4%, Algeria with 2.3%, and Peru purchased 69.7% of Argentina's exports at 2.2%. The export product groups listed below have the highest dollar value in Argentine global shipments in 2020. The percentage share of each export category in terms of total Argentina exports is also shown. Cereals with $8.9 billion stand at 16.2% of total exports. $8.5 billion in food waste and animal fodder account for 15.4%. $4.8 billion in animal/vegetable fats, oils, and waxes account for 8.7%. $3.4 billion for oilseeds account for 6.2%. $3.3 billion for meat account for 6%. $3.3 billion for automobiles account for 6%. $2.1 billion for mineral fuels, including oil account for 3.8%. $2 billion in gems and precious metals account for 3.6%. $1.6 billion for fish account for 3%. $1.1 billion in dairy, eggs, and honey account for 2%. Argentina's top 10 exports accounted for more than two-thirds, which is 71% of the total value of its global shipments. Dairy, eggs, and honey were the fastest growing of the top 10 export categories, increasing by 22.6% from 2019 to 2020. Animal or vegetable fats, oils, and waxes were the only product category to increase export sales by 1.5%. Vehicles were the leading decliner among Argentina's top 10 export categories, with a -43.4% drop year-on-year. Argentina's total exported goods account for 5.9% of its overall gross domestic product, was valued at $924.5 billion in purchasing power parity US dollars in 2020. In 2020, exports will account for 5.9% of total GDP in PPP terms, compared to 7.2% in 2019. Those percentages indicate a decreasing reliance on products sold in international markets for Argentina's total economic performance, albeit over a short time frame. The unemployment rate is another important indicator of a country's economic performance. According to the International Monetary Fund, Argentina's unemployment rate was 11.7% in September 2020, up from an average of 9.2% a year earlier. Buenos Aires is Argentina's capital city. Thanks for watching this video. We are open to suggestions. Kindly drop your comments in the comment box and don't forget to subscribe to the Big Man Business YouTube channel. See you in the next video.